Hey everyone. This is Deb Burlekamp, pharmacist in Ohio. Um, my husband's a pharmacist too. He works in a hospital. I have been loudly squawking about the conditions in the hospitals with the shortages of masks for a week now. Was hopeful that Trump would have put this uh, Defense Production Act into effect, and it hasn't happened yet. So um, I'm doing my part as a pharmacist, and I'm sharing this, which came from Julie Johnson from the University of Florida College of Pharmacy, from where I received my PharmD, and my husband did too. So I'm going to go through this checklist for pharmacies, and I know we have them, but the this comes from Italy. So it's an alum of the University of Florida, and they have a pharmacy in Italy. And they wanted to share what they have done and what they have learned and in the last couple of weeks. And if pharmacies can implement most or all of these things now, I'm going to go through them with you. But if we can do this across the board, and pharmacists who are the pharmacists in charge, they're the responsible pharmacists on the license, you need to stand up to anybody who says you can't do these things and just get them done. So this is checklist for pharmacies. With tens of thousands, and I'm going to go through this because orally, because some of these things I think I have to translate, although it might be obvious for most of you. I'm going to also let other people who are non-health professionals see this. So anyway, with tens of thousands infected, hundreds of deaths, coronavirus has led to disaster in Italy. The situation in South Tyrol is not quite as bad as in Lombardy, but here too there's a state of emergency. I'm going to skip down. Stephen and Florian Peer improvised a lot in their pharmacies and had to decide how to keep the businesses running. They've kept a record of their learning curve and want to share their experiences. Message is clear. We can only advise you to prepare everything now because it will be hard. So let's do that today. Equipment and furnishings. Place signs in front of the pharmacy or at the entrance now for correct behavior or access to the pharmacy. Stay outside in case of fever. Please keep your distance. Disinfect hands. Have a disinfection station. Install sneeze guards. So this sneeze guard, whatever you can do, one beautiful one I saw, and I think it was on this website, was they hung clear shower curtains all the way around the pharmacy with an opening, so you could do one with for customers. Install hooks for shopping bags. And widen the sales table, so that would mean the counter, to increase that safety distance. And then also with the sneeze guards. So, and put your pens out in front of the sneeze guards. Organization, plan your work schedule. So a lot of this stuff is practical, but there's some stuff that I want to get to. Make sure anybody with a fever or stay cough stays home. You need to write up SOPs, standard operating procedures. And that will cover all of these things and go over them with all your employees. Do some planning for your glove and mask use. And yes, why I am appalled to hear that anybody would succumb to, at this point, a superior's directive not to wear masks. So protect yourself and your customers. Make sure cleaning staff is available to come and clean. So, we can't do that here in the U.S. while we're closed, but routine cleaning is important. In this next statement, attention, company physicians can put drastic regulations. So I don't know what the Italy regulations are, but I think we just have to try to interpret this on our own. So definitely ask patients to have somebody healthy come in and pick up medicine if possible. And do this on a regular basis. Make sure you post your information on social media and just start putting the signage out today. Over-the-counter sales define the maximum number of customers in the store at a time. You can use duct tape to put crosses on the floor to show where customers should stand and where they should wait. Once they're occupied, they have to wait outside. So I know that a lot of pharmacies already have maximum numbers of people that are allowed in, but that I saw for independent pharmacies. Chain pharmacies should be doing this as well, and grocery store pharmacies. Lock the door when too many people are in the pharmacy. So I think we should, be careful with lines. I've seen too many pictures of people standing in lines that are crowded. Why don't we put X's on the ground? Stand here, stand here, stand here. I know that doesn't sound practical, but I think it can be done. Prepare for a lot of work to be done. That's obvious. And that's obvious. So the way the rush is at the moment, work on an emergency hatch. I am not sure if they're describing this whole thing as the emergency hatch. So planning now before it gets even worse. So all pre-booked analyses. So these are your face-to-face consultations, immunizations, etc. You have to socially distance and wear personal protective equipment if possible. I'm going to stay away from some hot questions like what are we going to do about immunizations? So stockage, hand infection gel, storage much as possible. We know that this is a difficult situation, and hopefully the factories and all of the efforts at the grassroots just try to get as much hand sanitizer as you can, and then ration it and sell larger containers to doctors' offices and stores that are open. Hopefully we will get more protective clothing ASAP. There is a grassroots effort for like a Rosie the Riveter sort of thing. And I think every pharmacy needs to do what they can to get personal protective equipment in for their employees and allow them to wear it, and hand out regular masks. And it says lower for customers, mouth guards, they're calling them. And that's what I'm assuming that they are. A delivery service for those patients who are vulnerable. This says over 65. But make sure you ask in advance if they have a fever or if they're quarantined, and note it in red, and understand how the customer is going to pay. There's a whole section here on hygiene. This is a very interesting concept. Have enough people so that each employee works at his or own workstation. Only one place for shared use. Keep the circulation from the sales, so your front counter, to the office, and vice versa, as low as possible. And keep the same people at the counter until break. Increase surface disinfection to at least 4 times a day. Hand disinfection after direct contact and at regular intervals, just like we would if we were cleaning the hood. We're cleaning them after batches. We're cleaning all day long. I'm sure you're doing this already, but if the minimum distance can't be maintained, you have to wear protective clothing, gloves, and masks. In general, work with gloves. Don't touch your face with them. Always change before switching back to the back office. So when you're doing routine record keeping, and hand over the items to patients in a dispenser or a paper bag. Don't touch the customers. High risk, if possible, use the I don't know what FFP2, I should know, but I'm thinking of N95 masks for employees. Surgical mouth guards for customers, I'm thinking those are just your basic masks. And if possible, glasses. Avoid direct contact with customers as far as possible. And then here are some guidelines about the FFP2, the respiratory mask. So I'm talking about the higher level masks. Make sure you mark them with your name to prevent them from being worn by others. Always wear the mask, and when leaving the area behind the sneeze guard. So if you have to go around the plastic shower curtain, don't use the mask again. Make sure that it is done, it fits correctly. I don't want to read that again. Always wear the mask when leaving the area behind the sneeze guard. Do not use the mask behind the sneeze guard to ensure it can be used for as long as possible. Okay. So this is their recommendation. Follow the instructions for the RKI, which I'm assuming is like a health agency in Italy for reusing the masks. And just read that, but avoid contamination. Don't touch the inside of the mask with your hands prior to disinfection. Store it in a dry place. I've heard a couple of hospitals and doctors talk about using paper bags, so they're not in a closed, don't want to use Tupperware containers. And then use the outside facing upwards without contact points. Regular disinfection of storage surfaces. Disinfect hands before use and dispose of masks immediately when the inner surface was contaminated with pathogens. And each one of us is socially responsible for making sure that that doesn't happen. So that's it. I'm going to post this, and I hope this has been useful for you. And I care about you all.